till he walked into a restaurant and found his old school friend waiting tables. What he did next left everyone speechless. The upscale restaurant buzzed with quiet conversations, the soft clinking of silverware filling the air. Ethan Lawson, billionaire investor, sat at his reserved table, barely listening to his business partner's words. He had dined in the finest restaurants across the world, but something about this place felt different. Then he saw a waitress balancing a tray with practiced ease, moving between tables with a polite but tired smile. For a second, Ethan thought he was imagining things, but no, it was really her, Olivia Carter, his childhood friend, the girl who once dreamed of becoming a journalist, who swore she'd travel the world writing stories that mattered, and now she was waiting tables. Ethan's chest tightened as a wave of memories hit him. He watched as she approached another table, setting down plates, her shoulders tense. She hadn't seen him yet. His business partner kept talking, but Ethan wasn't listening anymore, because in that moment he made a decision. He wasn't leaving this restaurant without helping her. Ethan couldn't take his eyes off Olivia. She looked the same, yet completely different. The spa remembered the fire in her eyes whenever she talked about her dreams was missing. As she turned to the counter, he saw her let out a tired sigh, rolling her shoulders before picking up another tray. He had seen enough. Without a word, Ethan stood up. His business partner frowned. "Where are you going?" Ethan ignored him and walked straight toward Olivia. She turned just as he reached her. Her tray wobbed slightly when their eyes met. Across her face. "Ethan," she breathed. He smiled. "Hey, Liv." Her eyes darted around the restaurant, clearly panicked. "What are you doing here?" "Having dinner," he said casually, though his tone was anything but. "I could ask you the same thing." Her jaw tightened. "I work here." Stomach sank. This wasn't to be her life. Before he could respond, a sharp voice interrupted. "Olivia, less talking, more working." She flinched. Ethan turned to see a grumpy-looking manager glaring at her from across the restaurant. His jaw clenched. He didn't like that. She sighed. "I have to go." "No," Ethan said firmly. "You don't." Her brows furrowed. "What?" Ethan pulled out his wallet and tossed a thick stack of cash onto the nearest table. The entire restaurant went silent. "I just bought out your shift," he said. "Now we talk." Olivia stared at him, stunned. And for the first time in years, her fire started to return. The entire restaurant went dead silent. Olivia's eyes flickered between the stack of cash and Ethan's determined expression. He had just bought out her shift like it was nothing. Her manager stormed over, face red with anger. "Excuse me, sir, but she still has hours left on her shift." Ethan barely spared him a glance. "No, she doesn't." He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen a few times, then turned it around. It displayed a bank transfer confirmation. "I just bought this restaurant." Gasps rippled the crowd. Even Olivia's breath hitched. The manager paled. You what?" Ethan's expression was ice cold. "And you're fired," the man stammered, but Ethan had already turned back to Olivia. "Come with me," he said softly. "We need to talk." She hesitated, staring at him like he was someone she no longer recognized. "Ethan, you can't just..." "I can," he interrupted, "and I did." She exhaled, still processing everything. Then after a long pause, she finally nodded. Ethan smiled. "Good. Let's go." And as she untied her apron and set it down, the entire restaurant watched in stunned silence. Because Olivia Carter had just walked away from a job she thought she was stuck in, and back into a life she had almost forgotten she deserved. Ethan led Olivia out of the restaurant, his mind racing. He had found her, he had freed her from that place. But now came the hard part. Figuring out what had happened to her. They walked in silence for a moment before Olivia finally spoke. "You just bought an entire restaurant. For what? To prove a point?" Ethan glanced at her. She wasn't impressed. She was angry. He sighed. No, Olivia. I did it because I couldn't stand seeing you like that. She scoffed. Like what? Working, struggling, sorry if my life isn't as glamorous as yours, Mr. Billionaire. Her words stung, but he didn't flinch. She had every right to be upset. I just don't understand, he said softly. You were the smartest person I knew. You were supposed to be a journalist traveling the world telling important stories. What happened? She tensed for a moment. He thought she wouldn't answer, then she let out a bitter laugh. Happened, Ethan? She wrapped her arms around herself, looking away. I got accepted into a great journalism program. But then my dad got sick. I had to stay and take care of him. The bills piled up. I dropped out. Ethan's chest tightened. She had given up everything for her family. She exhaled. After he passed, I tried to start over, but things didn't go as planned. I ended up waiting tables to survive. She glanced at him. Not exactly the dream, huh? Ethan swallowed hard. I had no idea. She shrugged. Why would you? We lost touch. Guilt twisted in his stomach. She had been struggling for years and he hadn't even known. He took a deep breath. Come work for me. He blinked. What? Ethan turned to her fully. You don't belong in a restaurant. You belong out there telling stories. I have media companies, publishing houses. I can give you a job. The job you were meant to have. She stared at him, disbelief in her eyes. You think you can just fix everything with money? He shook his head. Number. But I can give you back the chance you never should have lost. Silence stretched between them. Then for first time that night Olivia looked at him, not with anger but with hope. What's the catch? She asked hesitantly. Ethan smiled. No catch, just say yes. Olivia took a shaky breath, and then she did. 1 month later, Olivia sat in a sleek modern office staring at the article on her screen. Her byline, her name, Olivia Carter, investigative journalist, was printed at the top of the page. She exhaled shakingly, barely believing it was real. Ethan had kept his word. After that night, he had set everything in motion. He didn't just hand her a job, he gave her the tools to rebuild her career. He enrolled her in writing workshops, introduced her to top editors, and most importantly, reminded her of the fire she once had. Now she was working for one of his media companies, writing real stories that mattered. A knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. Ethan stepped inside, a knowing smirk on his face. Not bad, Carter, he said, nodding at her screen. Your first big story. She chuckled. It's just a local piece on small businesses, but yeah, it feels good. He pulled up a chair. So, do I get a thank you yet? She rolled her eyes. You get exactly 2 words. You were right. Ethan grinned. I'll take it. She shook her head, smiling. I didn't need saving, Ethan. I know, he said softly. You just needed someone to remind you who you are. Her chest tightened. That was exactly what he had done. She glanced at her screen one more time, then turned to him. So dinner to celebrate? She asked casually. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Is that an invitation? She smirked. Maybe. He stood up, offering his hand. Then let's go. As Olivia took his hand, she realized something. He hadn't just changed her career, he had changed her life, and something told her this was only the beginning.